everyone, and welcome to Two-Player Quest, where I help you on your quest to find the best two-player board games for you. In today's video, I have Arkham Horror 2nd Edition by Fantasy Flight Games. In Arkham Horror, you play as a group of investigators who is trying to prevent the Ancient One from awakening. You do this by closing gates, fighting monsters, and gaining clues. But it will also entail a few trips to the other worlds, so be careful. What is it like, and is it the kind of game for you? Well, let's investigate. Arkham Horror is a game for 1 to 8 players that plays in 2 to 4 hours. Now, depending on how many players you play with, it might go a little higher than 4 hours. But when we played this with 8, I think we went to about 5 hours. But in general, 2 to 4, if you're playing with a smaller amount of people, is very correct. It is at a 3.59 on Board Game Geek for complexity, which means it's a medium edging to slightly hard complexity game. I don't completely agree with the statement when it comes to complexity. I think it has more to do with the length of the game, because the game itself is not that complex, I would say, but the length of the game certainly makes it harder. And it is a high luck game. It's all about dice rolls, random card draws, stuff that happens. In general, you can find a semi-good strategy, but if the game just isn't going your way, then you are losing this game. This is what the setup can look like at the start of a 2-player game. So down here we have the Mythos cards, the Otherworld cards, our Ancient One. This is how we store our game. You have one of the characters up there, Agnes Baker. Then we have the big board. We have the other encounter cards and the equipment cards. And then down here, we have one of the other characters. And we also have the terror track. On your character, you can see certain things. The name, how much sanity and stamina you have, so that's your HP and sanity basically. You have a special skill, and here you have your attributes, as well as possessions, which I have placed here and here. Now, at the start of every round is the upkeep phase, and in your upkeep you can move these attributes up to your focus. In this case that's 2, so I could move this one over there and 1 up there, or I could move this one 2 if that were the only thing I did. Now these stats are used for certain things. Speed is how much you can move, sneak is if you need to do a sneak check, fight is for when you need to fight monsters, the will check is for when you need to fight monsters, but then you need to basically have the will to fight them. Law is usually for spells and knowledge, and luck sort of speaks for itself, is for luck. Now characters have different sets of stats and different abilities. Next you have the movement phase. So your characters can move to a different spot. For example, we'll say that Hank Sampson is our starter player, so he can move up to 3. So he chooses to go 1, 2, 3 to the unnameable, and if you end your movement in a space with a clue token, you take that clue token. And then it is Agnes's turn, and Agnes has a movement of 2. So she decides to head over to Hibbs Roadhouse to also take a clue. Why? Because you need clues to close gates. Then, with the movement phase done, you get over to the encounter phase. Encounters always happen clockwise, and you always start with the starting player, and you always start in Arkham. If there are any players in the other world, those happen after all of the players have had their encounters in Arkham, because sometimes there are encounters in Arkham that will send you to the other world. So, Hank is currently at the Unnameable, which is in the Merchant District, which is the green area. So you take one of the green cards and you read the green card for the Unnameable. And then you shuffle that back into the deck. And Agnes is at Hibbs Roadhouse. You do the same, you take the correct colour, you read what it says and do what it says. Now, sometimes you will need to make checks. For example, here at Independence Square. They are asking for a luck -2 check. So then you check how much luck you have. And let's say you have 3 luck. Luck 3 minus 2 is 1. You roll 1 dice. Now, 5 up is a success, so this is 1 success. Sometimes you need multiple successes, That depends on the card. The card will tell you what it needs. Now that the encounter phase has happened in Arkham, the encounter phase would happen in the other world if there were other world encounters. On these other worlds, you can see certain colours, and they are different colours for different worlds. So the Abyss specifically needs a blue or a red card. So you'd look at the card. Now this one just so happens to be red, but there are also green ones, and you can't use one of the green ones for the Abyss. Once that has been done as well, you go to the Mythos phase. In this case, the gate opens at the graveyard, in which case you take one of the gates and you open it at the graveyard. Any clue tokens are returned to the pile. You also see that a clue appears at the unvisited isle. After placing a gate, you place one Doom token on the Doom track, and you also place a monster on the gate. Then you look at the monster movement, which is shown at the bottom here. So in this case, moons would go over white and pluses would go over black. So this moon goes over white. And then you read what it says at the top. It could be a headline or an environment. In this case, the terror level increases by 1 in light of this tragic news because a family were found butchered. So here we move the terror track up 1. And now we start a new round. The first player marker is moved to the next player. And now it is up to Agnes to start the round for movement. Now you keep going until you have completed one of a few criteria. The best and easiest way to win this game is by closing gates permanently. To close the gates permanently, you play 5 clue tokens and you place one of these Eldersign tokens on the gate or on the area, and then you have closed and you cannot get another gate there. How many closed gates you need depends on the amount of players that you have. Another way of winning is by summoning your Ancient One after it has placed all its Doom tokens and fighting it. But if ever you were to try and fight the Ancient One but fail, unfortunately, then you would lose the game. Teaching this game to new players is, I personally think, relatively easy, but it is probably edging a bit more to the medium spectrum of complexity to teach. Anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on the experience of your players and how much you want to explain at the start. Certain things can be explained when you get to them. So, for example, how the Otherworld stack works, how monsters work. Once you get to combat, that's when you can explain the combat system. So if you do that, it won't take as long at the start. Otherwise, still within about 15 minutes, you can get going. If you're looking for a relatively long but engaging and exciting co-op board game, then this could be good. There's never much time in between your turns. You're always quite close to doing something. There are 2 phases to every round, so the encounter phase and the movement phase, and what you do in those phases can usually be done quite quickly. So it's never far from your turn, keeping it exciting. But what also keeps it exciting is all the dice rolls, because even if it's not your turn, you want to know how the other player did. So if you like H.P. Lovecraft and you want to walk around his 1920s world, then this could be a great fit. We really like this game. We like the excitement, we like the chaos that it can bring. I love the variety that this game has, so there's so many cards, it can be different every time. The combat system, so fighting monsters, is a lot of fun and it keeps the game interesting. Now, I personally I love gate hopping. I love having mages and gate hopping. I don't know why, I just think it's fun. But we like this game so much that we basically have memes of this game, and we have certain nicknames for some of these places. Like you have the Unnameable, which we named, and then you have the Unvisited Isle. But if you've ever been to the Unvisited Isle, you will know that it is very visited. So it's not the Unvisited Isle, it's Taurus Island. So we love it so much that we have nicknames for quite a few of these places. That should show you how much we like it. In general, when we play this, we usually play it with 4 characters. So either 2 each, if we're playing with 2 of us, or we usually play this with other people. So then we'd all just have 1 character each. So in general, good 2-player game. also good for 4. This game works well at pretty much most player counts. We have played this with 8 people, and we will not be playing this with 8 people again. It took too long, it was about 6 hours. There was too much time in between everyone's turns. You basically got disinterested in the game while you were waiting. So 6+ is where I'd put the max. I could see 5 or 6, but I wouldn't go to 6. I personally would go to 6+. In general, 4 is fantastic. It's really good. Everything scales per person, so it doesn't matter with how many people you play the game. It always scales the same. So 4, fantastic. 2, it's still really good with 2 characters. We just prefer 2 times 2 characters, so 4 characters. But 5 and 6 are great as well. So I would say everything less than 6, fantastic. I personally wouldn't go past 6. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching our review of Arkham Horror. If you want to see another one of my reviews, you can click up there. If you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions, please put them down below. And I look forward to seeing you next time on 2 Player Quest.